Welcome back, everybody. Mark with Exotic Car Play Place. Thanks for joining in. Today I want to talk about some of the key design features of this car, some of the good things that I love about it, like some of the elements that were a good design, good engineering practice put into this car. I'm also going to feature some of the bad practices and some of the poor designs and some of the things that really don't work well in this car as a rule. I know some of you guys have been asking for that. I've seen recent comments asking for this stuff. I'm going to share with you some really quick high-level ones that are going to talk about good and bad and ugly if need be. So let's get started. So let's start with talking. We're going to work our way around the car, and I'm going to show you some of the features on the exterior, under the engine bay, as well as the interior. Let's get started. So in here, first of all, you'll notice this car is an E60 M5. This is a 5-liter V10, 500 horsepower beast. You look in here, there's just a hole here. There's a vent. That's all this is. This is for actually engine cooling. You'll notice the standard cars actually have fog lights here. The M5 does not come equipped with fog lights because it uses this space now to actually funnel air in to help cool the engine. This is not your garden variety daily driving machine. This is the hot rod car, and it's designed more as a performance car. So it's basically form follows function. You know, some of the honeycomb grille is great elements to this. This is something you'll find in a lot of exotic cars. That honeycomb grille is a beautiful thing. So some cool things that I like about the M5, of course, E60, fender flares. Right there, fender flare here. It doesn't look like much. That coupled with this rocker here that sticks out shows that this car is menacing and it means business. You also have an upgraded mirror here for the M5. These great little vents. Beautiful design style touches here with these vents, of course, not just the M5 logo, but the actual vents make this car stand out and actually look significantly better than the standard car like a 530 or a 525. Even little touches like this do huge wonders for the overall styling look. So let's go back here. Another thing I love about this car actually has the soft touch. So, see, it opens. The car was locked. You just hold the button. As long as you've got the key in your pocket, you're able to just use the soft touch, and I'll demonstrate again. Here, lock up. Car's locked. I'm going to go to unlock it, just like that. So you don't need the key necessarily in your hand. It's a great thing that way. So let's close that. Let's close the door. Come on around the back. Let's take a look. Now the other thing you'll notice, and this goes all the way around the back, are these wheels. These wheels are spectacularly, you know, they really make the car pop because they're a 19-inch rim. Of course, you can upgrade them to a 20. A lot of people do, and a lot of people set them deeper in the wheel well here because actually these fenders are more or less rolled here by factory. This is actually like a factory roll. If you can see, so you'll notice the roll here, this is actually thin, and then it widens as you get down here. So this is actually factory rolled to allow for a wider tire. You can put a pretty beefy set of rubbers under this thing. Again, because there's no fender lip here. It's basically rolled in and just expands out here just for the look. But really, it will accommodate a pretty substantial tire under these wheel wells. Of course, with the arches, the flares, and everything on the sides and the rockers, makes this car look menacing. I love that look. That's a great design. On the back here, just styling cues like this. Little fins like this on the back make this thing look pretty sharp. Down here as well, to add some aggressive look at the back, you've got the quad tailpipes, which again, BMW is always good at subtlety, but yet it's a strong subtlety. You've got the splitter underneath here, the double or the quad exhaust, the indented bumper, which you don't find on the standard car. Okay, so let's go inside for a second. I'm going to pop the hood. We'll take a look under the hood. I'm going to show you a couple things I like. So this, we'll just lift that up, and then we'll come under here, under the hood. Okay, so we're going to lift the hood here, and we'll talk about some things under here that are good and bad. So underneath these plenums are the factory actuators, the throttle actuators, which are a known problem on these cars. Well, they have internal gears. Crappy, shitty design. I don't know what BMW is thinking. Those gears strip out, and then you get a fault code. And then it costs you thousands of dollars to get that fixed. Not only that, you've got to remove all this plenum business and get this junk out of the way to even access those things. Plus the parts are very expensive anyway. Fortunately, there's an aftermarket guy that will fix these for you and put metal gears in there, but it's a bad design right from the hop. Another thing I don't like are these plastic plenums. Sure, they look kind of cool, but they're not like the Italians do it, which is metal. They've got that nice frosted metal look, aluminum like the Italians do in the Ferraris and the Lamborghinis. BMW kind of does it a little bit on the cheap. A lot of plastic here, which I think is a little bit kind of downgrades it. Doesn't look bad. I just think aluminum would have been a little bit prettier in there. Now, in terms of a good design thing here, of course, look at this. This is the battery terminal. There is your positive battery terminal post right there. And there's your negative. There's a little post right there to clamp your negative post, your negative cable to. Those things are awesome. This way you don't have to connect up to a live battery. If you're boosting the car, which I wouldn't advise, but if you've got a charger, you've put your tender on there, it's very easy access to connect up right here. You don't actually have to connect to the battery. And because of this, I would say BMW has it going on here. I have a lot of, seen a lot of the Italian cars, the Ferraris, I know my Lamborghini, a lot of them, they tuck batteries in really obscene areas, and that's the only access point. Like my Lamborghini, you've got to pull the front trunk door open. It's not bad, but it's not as good access as this for charging, as well as some of the Ferraris that put them in either the footwells or a Lamborghini Diablo, for example, you actually have to take the driver rear tire off to take the plastic out and then get in the batteries tucked in the fender well there. Absolutely horrible design for access. You'd think they'd kind of think that one through. BMW has it here. Obviously good access to the battery power so you can charge it. As well, the battery itself is in the trunk, which is very accessible. And that of course should be coded, by the way, when you change a battery. It should be looked at that way as well. Another really crappy design, I know everybody who rolls with these cars hates the design, and that is no dipstick. Almost virtually every newer BMW runs without a dipstick. There's no dipstick with these cars. It's all done electronically. Now, I know I did an oil change on this car, and you probably saw the video on it, guys. I did an oil change on this about a week ago. I parked the car. I put 9 whatever quarts of oil in there. I put about 9.5 quarts. But because I didn't drive the car right after, now I started up today. When I back the car out, it shows 0, and it gives me a little kind of error, and it shows 0 out of, the 0 to 1 it's at 0. I'm zeroed out right now, so it hasn't had a chance to properly warm up and level out and stabilize. So you have no way to really check your oil properly, at least until the car's properly warmed up, which kind of sucks because, again, now it forces you to take it for a long drive for 20 kilometers. It's got to be properly warmed up before you can even get an assessment what the oil level's like, or if there's a problem. Do you have antifreeze in the oil? Do you have the frothing going on? Indications of possibly blow-by. There's no way to evaluate the condition of the oil or the level of the oil, which is kind of an old classic, mechanics thing, way of managing that. So that is a bad design. Another thing, of course, access to these. Now, the air boxes, generally are fairly accessible. There's clips around, but there's also, unfortunately, there's some things that have to be unbolted to access. So it's kind of not that user-friendly to access the air filters. Now, things that are good and are really accessible on these cars, another good design, are these things. Right under here are your pollen filters, your micro filters. There's one on either side, the driver's side and the passenger side here. Great design, very accessible, keeps it out from having to stand on your head in the cabin like a lot of cars have them inside the cabin, and you have to basically stand upside down and can be a contortionist to get them out. Here it's very accessible, very easy to get at. You just got to take a couple things off. There's electrical connectors, flip it up, bada boom, bada bing, done. Okay, so we'll talk about some of the features on the inside of this car, which I think were well designed. Controls that are simple but effective. You've got dual heated seats, dual climate control. You've got your CD, DVD players, partially because this is an older vintage car, so you're talking about your GPS system navigation runs through there. But everything, it's either dual heated, dual power seats, dual everything. It's very, very nicely equipped. But everything is nicely designed. Now these ones, on the other hand, you've seen lots of videos. These ones work well. You'll notice I push these in and they're working like a charm. But that can't be said for everybody's car. There's lots of these on the internet that you see guys doing videos on the E60 where these start kind of failing on you. They don't pop open or they jam closed. Or the design of this is very nice. This should have extended leather. It doesn't. I wish I did. That is a very nice feature for those cars that have it. However, I do have the brushed aluminum, which I think is a superior look. A lot of cars nowadays are lacking that. As a matter of fact, even if you look at a new Huracan, which I'd like to possibly look at some point and maybe picking up one. However, there's a lot of plastic in that. For a modern day Lamborghini that you pay $350,000 for, why doesn't it have either more carbon fiber or more leather touch? Even the Gallardo has more leather, or it seems to has more leather finishing inside than the newer Huracan, which coincidentally is a nice car. It's great, it's fast, spectacularly good in a lot of things. However, they've reverted back to more plastics and poorer finishing, unless of course you get the Performante, which that has lots of carbon, but you gotta pay dearly for that car. So these cars are well equipped, well finished, and well made in general. So in this earlier generation, I've got the pre-LCI car, of course, it's an 06. You've got the older generation of iDrive control here. This, you can tell, the bigger knob. It doesn't have the extra buttons on it. And of course, the iDrive system here is very vintage. Now, I won't fire that up just yet. I'm not going to take off just yet. But the iDrive in these earlier cars are pretty barbaric by today's standards. Now you have gesture control in the newer cars. This not only doesn't have gesture control, it's very barbaric to look at, as a matter of fact, too. It's very slow and delayed. So poor design. But you know what? I guess on the defense of the BMW brand, hey, guess what? That gets improved on every generation. So like every car, they get better with time. They get improved. So let's get to the back of the machine here. In these cars, how many cars can you tell actually have rear heated seats, dual heated seats? So you've got front and back heated seats in this car. Some of the M5s actually have cooled seats as well. This one does not have that equipped, but some do. So you've got dual heated seats back here. You've got dual DC control. So if you've got 2 kids or a couple people they've got plug-in chargers or whatever, you're golden there. You've got an extra storage cubby in here, which is kind of nice, and it's actually leather wrapped. So it's a nice feel, it's very high quality. Of course, going in here, you also have this pass-through area here, which you'll notice this takes you right into the trunk. So you got a little junk in the trunk here. And of course, you've got a ski bag inherently in here. There's a bag here, which allows you to pass skis or a hockey stick through without scratching the interior. It protects it because of this bag. So we'll close that up and close this. Great design. You've also got Alcantara on the back deck of this and a sunshade at the back here. Nicely designed. Honestly, I can't tell you how many times you drive along, you get that glare. This will keep that glare out of your eyes. Great design. As well, look at this. We also have this. I mean, who's thinking about this? But guess what? Not only can you mount this, but now BMW has, and I'm going to get the GoPro mount for this car. They actually have the GoPro mount that mounts between the headrest posts here, and it hooks in there and it sticks out, and you're able to set up your GoPro, as you know I do as a YouTuber, set up your GoPro to mount, and it's a great place to mount that stuff. So good design thoughts around this as well. You've got lots of features like this, well designed overall. Lots of room in the back. It's a very good use of the space in these 5 Series. Okay, so now the gas cap, I'll show you down here. So pretty easy to operate, pretty typical stuff, but you'll notice over here there's a pin. So right now the car's unlocked, because it is. With the BMWs you have, this is kind of a cool feature. I mean, how many times have you found yourself dropping this or having no place to put your gas cap? Well, BMW with this little design allows you to keep this in place without having to worry about putting it in your pocket, hitting the ground, falling, breaking, setting it somewhere. I know the Lamborghini that I have in the garage has that problem. It's a beautiful cap, but there's no place to put it when you're gassing up. So I'm gonna put that back on. But more to that, over here there's a pin. There's a pin over here which locks it. You'll notice this. This is what it grabs on, and there's a pin. So I'm gonna simulate I'm locking the car. I'm gonna use the remote right here. I'm gonna press the lock and watch. You're gonna see a pin come out which slides into this. You notice that pin? Unlock, lock, unlock. Let's put it. Now let's try to lock it. Now I can't do that. Unlock it. Now I can access it. What a great little design, right? Keeps those thieves from trying to suck that gas out of your tank there. Lots of thieves now. With oil and gas, the costs that they are today, barrels at an all-time record, and gas is just expensive as hell today. Why would you not want to protect some of that investment? A fill-up can cost you $100. Why not protect that? So, you lock that up. Great little design by BMW, and a lot of cars do that, but these guys do too. So there's another thing here. I'm going to start the car real quickly. What an awesome feature. What do you have here? You'll notice you have the heads-up display there. You'll see 0 kilometers per hour. I have it right now set up on default, but on M mode it gives you the full tachometer and everything. But you actually have heads-up display, which is a great design theme on this car. Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you hit the subscription and the notification bell. Love to see you on the next one. See you then. Bye-bye.